The glorious unboxing, Ryan. Oh, yeah.
Welcome.
Welcome to Tavern Talk, a weekly spoil-filled show where we dig deep into the lore, the theories, everything about the Wheel of Time. Welcome. Hi, Ryan.
Hey,
Yeah,
thank you. Sorry about that. Oh, my goodness. Right before the show, my camera turned off, so I'm going to figure this out. But hey everybody.
Hey.
Yes, we are continuing our Book to Show series. And today we're covering Egwene Alvear. And I couldn't be more excited for today's show because we have some guests. But before we ask our guests to join us, let's say hi to Beth Doman, Dad Swain, Sadai, and brother Al Dan.
Hello. How do you? Well, actually, I'm dressed for a Kyrian ball, I think. I'm gonna go do some Game of Houses stuff later, guys. Someone's gonna roofie my drink. Get what?
Dan, Eyes Wide Dan.
Eyes Wide Dan. Okay, yeah. Yep. There's the new name.
All right. So, yeah, how you guys doing, Beth? How you doing, Dad Swain?
Fabulous. I'm doing better for sure.
Yeah, much better. Much better. COVID cough is still lingering, but
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's my theory that we're all such big nerds we never leave the house and then we actually gather and we have no immune systems and we all get sick.
I would concur, honestly. Yeah, last week was rough. Last week was not fun. Yeah.
But you have a major announcement. Yeah, let's talk about Friday.
Yep.
Yeah. I got Twitch partner on Friday.
Yeah.
So yeah, it happened while I was streaming live, and I kind of cried a little bit in front of 150 people, and it was beautiful and amazing, and yeah, super excited. So
did they send you an email, or did it just like pop on your screen?
They sent me an email, but then Twitch also has like a mailbox system, kind of like or an alert system, kind of like YouTube does when you have an alert on YouTube. And it's like a little you've got mail kind of thing. So I clicked it, and I had applied over a week before, and the turnaround time is like 7 to 10 days normally. And the first time I applied, I found out in like 4 days they replied to me saying you technically don't meet the requirements. Even though you meet the requirements, you don't meet the requirements. So I knew, since it was like going on a week, that my chances were really good. So every time I saw something like that, I was like chronically checking it. I was like chronically checking my email all day on Friday at work. And I did, and it was like, congratulations, you were invited to join the exclusive Twitch partner program, and like just cheers. It was like, I was so excited. It's like, yeah, so
that's amazing.
Yep.
Right,
and now I can stream whatever the heck I want, and I don't have to worry about numbers anymore. I'm gonna start playing Date Everything, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait.
You're a partner. You can do what you want.
I can do what I want. I can do what I want.
Name's on the building.
Right,
yes.
Yeah.
Hey, let's bring in our guests so they can celebrate along with us.
Okay.
Returning superstar, now entering the ring, Morgan from Podcast the Dragon. And Critter,
Yay!
Welcome.
Hello.
Welcome, Critter and Podcast of the Dragons, Morgan.
Ryan, check your mic if you can.
I'm having issues. I'll be right back.
Yeah, okay. So I guess I get to be host. Hi guys, it's me.
I feel like it's been so long since I've seen you.
I
Been
know.
Ages.
Centuries even.
Have you gotten over any lingering COVID, bastards?
I managed to avoid it.
Wow.
I don't know. I think it's because possibly because I'm kind of like a hummingbird at the cons where I like buzz into a group and then I leave, so I didn't get the viral load perhaps. Whereas some people like sat with each other for a really long time. I'm just way too ADD at cons for that.
Yeah.
So I just buzzed around. I kept moving, and also I got the booster semi recently, so that probably helped too.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hi, Morgan.
Hi. How you
How
doing?
are you?
Can you hear me?
I hear you great,
Awesome.
and you look great too.
Thanks.
Yeah, we all look great. We all look great. Guys, you look great. Before we get started, Critter, can you tell people about your podcast and what you are, and actually more your videos are kind of blowing up a bit.
Thanks. Yeah, so I'm all over the place, honestly. Like I do a lot of Wheel of Time, but also sci-fi fantasy content on TikTok and YouTube and Instagram and all that's under Critter XD. I've been I've been doing a lot of Save Watt content. If you're not familiar, the Wheel of Time was unbelievably canceled about 2 months ago, and since then a lot of Wheel of Time fans, including myself, have been posting about it to try to get it back. We've been fundraising to put up billboards, all kinds of stuff. And so yeah, if you follow me recently, I've been doing many Wheel of Time videos documenting what we've been doing and why we're doing it, and why the Emmy snub, the fact that nothing from the Wheel of Time got nominated for the Emmys, which is absolutely ridiculous. So much stuff. So if you haven't signed the petition yet, you can do so at savewatt.com, or just continue to post to support the Wheel of Time using the hashtag SaveWatt, hashtag the Wheel of Time. And I also have a podcast called But Are There Dragons, where my friend Jessica Sadai and I talk about books that at least one of us hasn't read. Our initial books were The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings, which was an incredible experience because she had never read them, and they're incredible books. And we just very recently did Fourth Wing, which was a huge departure, departure from classic fantasy. Massive departure. But it was still really fun. So if you're interested in any of that, check out But Are There Dragons anywhere you get your podcasts.
Yay!
Yay!
Now the signatures, it is over 210. 200. It's 200 teens now. Is it?
Yeah, it's over 210,000. I haven't checked today, but yes, if you haven't yet signed, you should sign because it's still going. I don't want to say it slowed down at the 180s, 190s. It took a while to get to 200 after we hit 150. A while. It's only been 2 months since it was canceled, so it's an incredible feat. But yeah, just after it hit 200, it spiked up to 210 really quickly. So we're still rolling. So tell your friends and family, get that petition up to, why not 250? We can get to 250. I think people are still finding out that the Wheel of Time was canceled. Lots of people in my comments on TikTok especially are like, excuse me, I just discovered the show and now I find out that it's canceled. So I think the more people know how stupid this is, the more people can sign the petition, hopefully get the attention of somebody who can change what happened.
Right. I mean, it was really a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
This whole intellectual franchise is a powerhouse and should have been treated as such. And I think that hopefully the word keeps spreading. There's more pressure and there is kind of an arbitrary deadline in August of all right, this is when the contracts are up.
Right.
So.
Right. I will say Dana LaHoo is reminding me in the chat. She's right. Some of my content on YouTube includes our live stream, which is the Wheel and Chill show. And we had the brothers on it a month or two ago. I can't even remember how long it was now. It was a while. I think it was before the cancellation, right? Or was it about?
Yeah.
It was before the cancellation. So it's been a while. We're currently on a bit of a hiatus, but we'll be back. And hopefully we'll be back when there's an announcement that the Wheel of Time's coming back. Wouldn't that be great if those two things coincided? But,
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
And at TAVERN, if you're watching, we love you.
We do. We love you indeed.
Let's get into the topic at hand. We are going to discuss Egwene Alvear. Egwene Alvear is was one of the very major characters in the show, and in the books. She comes from the same background as the books has it. She is training. She had just gotten her hair. She got pushed in a river, but that's okay. She just got to braid her hair. She is probably going to train to be a wisdom. Nynaeve is telling her to paint with all the colors of the wind. And for the most part, things are similar to the books. The reason she leaves is better, I think, in the show than in the books. She was like, in the book, she's like, Rand al'Thor, how dare you? No way you're gonna go without me. In the show, she is potentially a dragon, so she has to go. I guess so. Let's start with Egwene in the Two Rivers. What was your first opinion or I guess impression of Madeline doing her thing? Let me ask you, Morgan.
You asking me? I was really impressed with her because, I feel like Egwene was one of the characters that was best served by the choice to age them up. So she had a lot of poise, and I found that she really kind of nailed the sense of the character with, not a ton of dialogue given. She had her moments in the first episode, but mostly it was by like the actions that she did, so she had her moments with Rand. She had her opening scene where they pushed her in the river, but mostly it was just like, here's a handful of things that she does that shows that she is, a person who takes actions, a person who has goals and ambitions. So I thought that was very well done.
She is older than the book Egwene by a few years, and a bit more mature. With her relationship with Rand, it is progressed more than the books. The books, it seems like they hadn't hooked up. But Critter, this Egwene gets it on right in the kitchen.
I know. Crazy. I think that part of the show was shocking for book readers, especially because we're so used to Two Rivers folks being like a little bit straight-laced, a little, I don't know, buttoned up necessarily. And she was not. She was in fact unbuttoned by Rand after he gifted her with
Don't make
sex
me
berry
laugh.
or whatever. Sorry.
No. Yeah.
So it was interesting. It set a tone, right? It was like these are not children, and this is not necessarily the super conservative, super backwoods place that it kind of felt like it was in the books. Like not backwoods in a weird way, but like it was very traditional, and it was just slightly less traditional because it being in the lobby of the Winespring Inn also just felt like, well, their parents know, they have to know, and so all of it was just very refreshing. I thought it was a good choice. I agree to age them up and have them be a little further along in their relationship.
It was a big choice. I personally liked the whole backwoods folk like experiencing the world for the first time and seeing it through their eyes. I really liked that perspective of the book, but I could see how that would like take a long time.
Well, that's a very effective way to do storytelling in books because it allows for a lot of showing and not telling. It really cuts down on exposition to have your characters be incredibly ignorant.
And it's still like maintained the, we've never been farther than X town. Like I still think they had a sense of wonder as they were traveling. It was just less. It was just less of the conservatism, I guess, that they had, in my opinion.
Yeah, they went from having sex through a hole in the sheet to.
Wow.
Soaking. Were they doing soaking, right?
Thank you. I was like, what is the name for that? Soaking, exactly. Not in my Two Rivers.
Deswayne, I liked the river ceremony. I liked that a lot, and I because obviously we know the connection between Saidar and this ceremony and having to let go and flow with it, etc. But I loved it. What did you think?
I also loved it. I really thought, you have in the books that there's a point where the girls are able to braid their hair and they're accepted by the women, and they are themselves then, viewed as women in society. And I think reading that and then seeing an actual ceremony, even in the world, just kind of seeing like how the different cultures of the world, go from adolescence into adulthood through different ceremonies and stuff like that, is fascinating. So I really thought the whole in the river, and also even that deleted scene that we saw later where all the colors are coming in and all the different things are happening in the pool. Pardon me. Oh, Miss Rona.
It's all good. It's all good.
On my nerves. It actually was really cool just to see how they're flowing a lot of ideas together. The surrender of Saidar, the colors of the Ajas in the deleted scene, and then really taking that and infusing that into Egwene and bringing her into this sort of maturation. And I just thought it was a beautiful expression. I thought it was cool because you're kind of like, you get this beautiful speech from Nynaeve, and all the women are like, we agree completely, and they all know that she's about to throw her into the river, and Egwene does not know that. So it's kind of like she's in this mode, and then Nynaeve is like, all right girl, here we go, and she's like, push. And I just thought as an audience too, that was kind of like a moment. But then she has to learn how to, surrender herself to the river.
You don't think
awesome.
she knew? She didn't have any idea. They're like, all right, so Egwene, you go stand like as close as you can without falling, and just stay right there.
I feel like it was one of those.
You
It was a
just
moment
stand
of
right
like,
there.
it was one of those like everything that you see to the horizon will be yours moment, and then they chuck her off, and it was.
Yes.
I think that's kind of the point too, is that the girls don't know about it before they get to braid their hair, and then they're thrown into the river because they have to survive it. They have to, learn how to surrender to it.
There was they also brought in an analogy with the braiding itself, Beth. And so I guess the whole ceremony, I liked it. I liked her coming of age, her quinceañera or whatever it was, her thing, her braid. She got to braid her hair, and this was, obviously was the huge deal in the books for the village. Did you like how they pulled off the whole thing?
Yeah, I think it was a good way, especially for people who were only watching the show, right, who had never read the book. It's a great way to kind of like give some symbolism and exposition without giving a whole bunch of backstory, just explaining as Nynaeve was braiding Egwene's hair, like how it stands for solidarity, and you're part of the women now, and the women are all with you, and we're all, together, literally a village, right? It takes a village, and and so I think it made a really good visual representation of what we see in the books.
With the early marketing, with Egwene coming up, having her face all dripped down, we saw that as perhaps being the Amerlin seat, but it was supposed that she may have been the dragon to people who didn't know the story. Critter, what do you think of that? I guess impetus for the girls from the Two Rivers, Nynaeve and Egwene. Do you think that this was? Not talking book lore, I guess. Because we can get into that, but I don't necessarily want to. I guess just having that one of them be the dragon with the marketing with her thing. Was this all pushing to maybe be suggestive that it might be Egwene?
I know that during the first season, whenever I talked to people that hadn't read the books, they were initially thinking that it was her because she was like powerful and she had so much potential. But then, of course, knowing that bait and switches happen all the time, they decided that it was Rand because he didn't have anything else going for him.
Yes.
So they thought, yeah, it's definitely him, because what else can he
So-
possibly do?
So real, man.
Yeah, it's
so real.
You know, yeah, like, these shows are all written in certain ways. But no, I did think that the fact that Nynaeve and Egwene were possibly going to be the dragon was a really good change. I know as a kid growing up, you know, having read The Lord of the Rings first and then moving on to The Wheel of Time, as a girl, I was semi-frustrated because, of course, once again, the three most important people, the three TAVERN, were three boys. And eventually, as I read the series, of course, it became very apparent that Egwene was like two sides of the same coin, or with Rand, and she was just as important as him, in my opinion. But you had to get there, and at first it was so boy focused and Rand focused specifically that I think in order to appeal to a broader audience in the show, you know, because this is going to be such a powerful female heavy show, they needed to like come out of the gate and be like, look, this isn't just about the boys, I swear. And that was one of the ways to do it. Obviously, a lot of people in my comments, a lot of the book readers thought it was the stupidest thing in the world, and how could the dragon possibly be a girl, blah blah blah. Honestly, I like thrived on their rage, and it was really fun. I thought it was a good. I like the mystery. I like that it was different than the books, and that we knew in the books right away, but we didn't know in the show. And I was just, my only problem with it at first was that we didn't get the Rand bringing Tam back to the Two Rivers scene, but eventually we did get flashbacks to that. So that was like a hugely satisfying moment in episode 7 of season 1. So we got there eventually, and it was a fun ride while we didn't know.
You know what, I love that, and the fact that I guess it really doesn't matter what the books say in regards to that when you're telling a new story. And so it makes sense to, and plus otherwise they may not have been quite as endeared. So for instance, and I'm asking you, Morgan, the Egwene was caught in a weird love triangle with Rand and Perrin, and so I guess having her maybe be the dragon helped there, because otherwise she was just, I don't know, it was a weird. Did you? I'm not a good interviewer, guys. Did you like that, Morgan?
You're doing great, Dave.
I'm taking
Did
the
I
mask
like
off.
it? I didn't like how it was done. I'm a Pegwayne stan, so like I really like in the first book the time that Perrin and Egwene spent together, and because I hate Perrin and Fael's relationship, and you know Gowan can go die, so I sort of feel like if they had done something to actually make Perrin and Egwene have a real relationship, then that might have been interesting, but instead they just like did it because for some weird reason just for that episode, and then it was gone, so there was no purpose to it. So I didn't like it because of that. They did, you know, it to me it was very clear, like starting in the first episode, that there was, you know, something there, like that, you know, Perrin had a thing for Egwene. But like it was really awkward how they made it come about, having Nynaeve make it sound like they were fighting over her or whatever. I just felt like it was very clumsily done, and there was no purpose to it.
Is that why Layla was like turned away in bed, and Perrin kind of was touching her belly, and she like was pretending to be asleep and stuff?
Yeah,
she also didn't go to her ceremony.
There are a couple of different things where it's sort of like he's waiting, and finally tells Nynaeve when she's like, go help your wife with the blacksmithing. He's like, tell Egwene, you know, or give Egwene my best. And then there's a scene when I forget exactly what happens, but Egwene is mentioned, and he like looks down suddenly in the first episode. It's very subtle, but it's there, where you can kind of see that, you know, oh, that's the actions of someone who, you know, has a thing for somebody and is, you know, suppressing it because like there's no point.
All right, so let's take a poll then, on people on screen. We'll start with you, Dad Swain. Did they hook up? Was there something inappropriately done between Layla and Rand?
Well, or appropriate.
Layla and Rand?
if it's
You mean-
consensual.
Between Perrin and Egwene or Layla and Rand?
Oh, I mean, Parent. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was like, ooh.
Like Layla and
Egwene
Rand,
Parent.
what?
Egwene Parent. Was there a little hookup? We
No.
know that she's down to fuck. So,
Yeah, she's,
Wow.
she
well,
loves
I'm
the-
just saying. I'm what? What?
Well, they never.
She's
Perrin
not a
never
wallflower.
did dishes with her, so I don't think they fucked. But, yeah, I think it was all kind of in the background. I think I also felt like it was clumsily handled, and I don't think we not trying to veer away from Egwene, but I don't think we got to know Layla enough to really even care what her dynamic was in this situation. Like, I didn't know whether she was mad. I didn't know if she cared. I didn't know anything about her. So, and then she died. So it was just kind of like, where does she fit into this? You know, and I know they're trying to do these little subtle hinties of like, you know, ooh, Perrin is, you know, into Egwene, and, you know, Egwene's kind of, you know, rebuffing it or not even aware of it or something like that. But I just felt like it was sloppy. And so I don't think that they hooked up. I think if anything, they tried to make it look like maybe Perrin had certainly imagined it, or maybe he was being a little too obvious about it, and everyone kind of knew, but nobody was like, "Hey,
No,
Perrin,
back off, bro."
get your shit together, Perrin." You know, nobody was really like that.
She
And
has
so-
those hickeys are from Rand, bro. Knock it off.
Perrin,
All right,
right?
Critter. Do you think that
Wait.
they hooked up?
I don't know. I feel like the fridging of Layla and the love triangle that I consider related to the fridging of Layla was the worst part of the Wheel of Time show for me. It was not enjoyable. That was easily the worst part. The scene in episode 7 was dumb when they all confronted each other about it and puffed out their chests. It made way more sense to me. I saw somebody had a theory that it was actually Perrin who was into Rand. I like that way better. Way better than Perrin being secretly into
That's
Egwene.
hilarious.
So yeah, it was just nah. I mean, I like Marcus Rutherford as Perrin. I just feel like in season 1 he was not dealt the best hand when it came to his women and the relationships.
Yeah.
I have a distinct feeling that maybe I'm the only one who thinks this, but I had a huge impression that Perrin liked Egwene in the books, and that's where this whole that was the germination of this whole plot line. Is I picked that up in the books that he had feelings for her.
I think they glazed over that. I think it was sort of like halfway mentioned briefly, and then it never really got touched on. So there was, you know, I think it was one of those, like, once upon a time Perrin thought Egwene was a cutie face.
I remember temporarily shipping them whenever they were off on their side quest with the Tinkers.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
I thought they had a cute thing going, and I would have been okay with them being endgame until I met Fael, because I actually did like their relationship. But I was into that briefly.
Super
in the
sexy,
books.
considering having to kill her.
Yeah, like
goddamn, that was super sexy.
I shipped them, but I don't actually get the impression that Perrin had feelings for her necessarily. What I think that people get the impression of is, like, you spend the first part of the first book in Rand's head where he's judging the shit out of Egwene for all of her choices, and then RJ puts you in Perrin's head where you're suddenly getting someone who is looking, you know, a much more measured character who is looking at her and not judging most of her choices beyond, like, you know, using the one power to start a fire or something like that. And he just sees her in a much more balanced fashion because he doesn't want her to be a certain way in the same way that Rand does, and is therefore not angry that she's not how he wants her to be. And I think that can be mistaken for a crush, but I don't think it's what it is.
Nice.
Beth, do you have any thoughts on that triangle? Or
I mean, I'm very much in the same camp as Critter. I remember when I saw episode 7 and they had that little 90210 moment, for lack of a better term. Like, it was so
CW.
YA CW to me. And I was like, oh God. It's like, and I don't know if that was one of the things that was added in after Barney Harris didn't come back, and they had to kind of like have some filler conversation.
Definitely had the
tension
feel of
there.
that.
I could see Matt instigating that way more
Yeah, I could
effectively
too.
than
Honestly,
Nynaeve.
I could, to kind of like he was like gonna get pressed about something, and then he tries to like shift. I could see that happening too, but I don't know I honestly don't think. And I think if Perrin ever had feelings for Egwene, he reconciled himself a long time ago that
Oh yeah.
she was with Rand, and I do think he truly, honestly loved Layla. Like you could just, and so I don't. He might have just gone with Layla as a consolation originally, but I don't doubt that he truly didn't love his wife in those, 12 minutes that she was on screen.
Yeah, I think it's probably a staple of like small town life when people don't get out that a lot of people get with second best. Like I think that just happens.
Well, I think
Plus,
they
Layla was a dark friend, so
I think they went to second base.
I think she was a dark friend too.
Yeah,
that
me
was
too.
the only justification that I could find for them to do that. And then the fact that her innards were being eaten by a wolf in the dream, I was like, she's a dark friend, because she said, "I'm sorry" to him, right? And she like, I was like, she's a dark friend.
Yeah,
this is going to be such a great spin. Yes,
Perrin.
I was like, this is going to be such a great spin.
And me too. And then Rafe was like, no. And I was like, no, don't take us off of this path. This is a fun path.
Yeah. Sorry.
Was she
anyway.
pregnant?
Yeah.
Was Layla pregnant?
I mean, the lingering camera pan.
Should Perrin be charged
possibly.
with double homicide?
Well, he did get her right in the belly, right in the womb. He got her right in the womb.
The baby. The baby was a dog friend as well, so
Right in the womb.
You're killing me today, Ryan.
He saved
We are
humanity.
literally 35 minutes in, and you are already killing me.
It's a record.
It is.
So, they get to Faldara. Nynaeve is doing some magic stuff when she pretty much ends Mashin Shin.
Mm.
She just was like, "Not today, Mashin Shin!" Boom, and then everyone just can stroll the ways lethally from then on out. It appears. Anyways, well, there's lightning and stuff, but it's no bother. But when they're at Faldara, Nynaeve is dying, and Egwene saves her. Brings
That
her
was
pretty
weird.
much back to life.
Like, why would they switch those around? Obviously, that should have been Nynaeve saving Egwene. Why was this switched around like that?
Right.
I think that they didn't switch. Well, actually, no, you're right. It should have been, because it had all of the other people of lower level powers like crisping up. I think that because they had Nynaeve do something where she like got in front of. It was weird, because it was sort of like, I don't see like there was any way with the mechanic that they were making that Nynaeve could somehow absorb more of the power so that she would burn out instead of Egwene. Like, that's not how it was working. So yeah, the whole thing was really dumb.
Critter, was this more could Egwene be the dragon stuff?
I think this one, once again, was a product of like a focus group making a decision, and I think Rafe alluded to that. It was initially it was going to be, I believe, either Egwene or Nynaeve like doing practical medicine on them, like themselves, and not bringing them back to actual life. I think the way they did it made it a really confusing scene whenever Rand with the little girl in season 3 came up, because they're like, that little girl is the same amount of dead that that Nynaeve was when Egwene brought her back to life. I don't know. So there's definitely that was a choice. I wish she didn't look as dead as she looked, because my God, she looked dead. And
I think
they mentioned like they. Oh, go ahead, Beth.
No, I was just gonna say, I think it's interesting. I think the reason why they didn't make Nynaeve be the person to save Egwene is because they wanted to possibly show that Egwene is more measured than Nynaeve is. Nynaeve is all about explosive power and no control. And that is true to the books. Nynaeve really struggled with controlling her power. Whereas Egwene was so hell-bent on mastering everything, and so that might have been a way for them to try to show that there's temperance versus raw power, because we already had in episode 4 of season 1 the huge mass healing moment, right? To show that Egwene is powerful in her own right, versus Nynaeve, maybe not as powerful, but still is super strong.
Yeah. That happened after the dragon reveal with Rand, so
It
I don't
did
know
happen
that,
after the
I don't
dragon
know
reveal.
that
It
we're
was an
like
8.
continuing along that path. It definitely was like, okay, well, Nynaeve has had several awesome moments. We're giving Rand an awesome moment up the eye of the world. Perrin, not so much. All that stuff. But like Egwene needs a moment, and that's what.
And then Nynaeve had no awesome moments
in season 2.
for practically
Yeah.
2 whole seasons.
Yeah. She couldn't even wash her hands right. She's like, what do I do? What do I do? Well, I think Madeline.
No, she did tag Lan. That was pretty great.
I think Madeline did really well as an actress in the first season. We got to see. I liked when she was confronting Rand about his bullshit with Moraine. I liked. She seemed scared. She also seemed like a really confused person in a relationship with a boy. She pulled that off awesome. Like. But I think her acting chops really came in during season 2, when she is being put through some pretty atrocious things. Is there anything else in season 1 that you guys wanted to bring up about Egwene versus the books at all?
No, I just thought with the channeling itself, that's been a huge part of the Wheel of Time that has fascinated me. I'm always fascinated by the magic systems, and reading the books, you get a really keen sense of like there are certain weaves that are very complicated. They cannot be done to a great measure by a lot of Aes Sedai or channelers, where other people with these talents, can manipulate the weaves in critical ways. And so healing is one of those weaves. And so Egwene and Elaine both numerous times are like, I can heal a bruise, but otherwise you're on your own, honey. And so I feel like, that wasn't necessarily conveyed in the terms of that Nynaeve was the top tier, one of the top tier healers, whether by accident in the beginning or after she sort of trained as well. And then with the whole thing of Egwene healing Nynaeve, it really was just kind of like she was crying, and then all of a sudden these weaves sort of floated out of her. So I don't even know if she was really doing that on her own. So it was a miss for me. But that was about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Nynaeve's big healing moment came in a burst of where she didn't even try it. Like that's when her braids became serpentine, floating up, like she was jumping, like she was in a pool of water. And as Logain said, it was like a million suns or something along those lines. And then, she cured Lan. Didn't cure everyone, but cured Lan. Anyways.
So
go.
There were a couple of other scenes I feel like that were really central to like actually laying the foundation for her character in season 1. So like the scene with the White Cloaks where she basically tells Evenvalda to fuck off and also makes the decision that she will channel to save Perrin, specifically sort of taking on the leadership role and being like, I'm a leader. It's my responsibility to channel and save my friend. And then separating herself from Nynaeve in the scene with Swan, where Swan is basically like, yeah, I'm sorry that you want to live your nice, peaceful life, but sucks to suck. The wheel calls you to this. And Nynaeve basically being like, no. And we don't have to listen to you, and going to grab at Egwene, and Egwene stepping away and being like, I'm not going with you. I need to make my own decisions about what I'm supposed to do here. And so I felt like they were very small and subtle scenes, but they were fundamental to giving a real picture of cornerstones to her character.
Yeah, even earlier when after the bats came out of everybody's mouth or whatever, there was like Egwene was wanting to follow Moraine and Rand was being stubborn about it, and you really got a clear sense of Egwene, almost from the books, where she was like, when she puts her mind to it, when she puts her heart to it, she's almost always full in. And so she was kind of like, Moraine is doing it. I'm gonna go be an Aes Sedai, and that I thought was beautifully captured, by Maddie.
I agree. And so getting to when they're in the White Tower, she does. I love that she's kind of jealous and pissed off that Nynaeve is getting so much attention. They're like, oh, yeah, the most powerful in 1,000 years. Yeah, I've heard of blah, blah, blah. Gross, Barb. And her hooking up with Elaine and drinking some hooch and stuff was fun. So yeah, I guess let's get into season 2. In the tower itself, it's pretty similar, right? She's just being an accepted or a novice. No, novice. We also do get her test, right? Was that on screen?
In season 3.
In season 3. Okay, that's right. So we'll wait on that. I guess what? Any thoughts about her trying to become an Aes Sedai? Her in the White Tower and her meeting Elaine and etc. Critter.
Yeah, I enjoyed those scenes too. I really like whenever they give characters a chance to kind of just be themselves. And in this case, Egwene is such a try-hard, which I relate to a lot, right? She is a teacher's pet. She wants to be good at everything. She gets frustrated when her progress is slowed. She makes friends, obviously, with Elaine, as you mentioned. She gets jealous of people who are excelling. When
You loved Hermione Granger, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, see? Yeah.
No, yeah, that's exactly right. Egwene is a Hermione of, the Wheel of Time, and I relate to her a lot.
God, have you guys ever seen Harry Potter Puppet Pals?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hermione.
Hermione.
Sorry.
Sorry. So it was fun. No, I really enjoyed those scenes for sure. And obviously, that was the calm before the storm. And mid-season, Egwene was a completely different person, which it was fun to see. It was interesting to see the progress from who she was first in that season versus who she became.
Yeah, she had to go through a lot, actually, as an actress, I would imagine. And I think that I wish Jansen was here because he is an actor, but just to put yourself in that scene over and over again for 2, 3, 4, 5 days, maybe in the same makeup, doing the same, that stuff has got to be grueling on you emotionally.
Yeah, I mean, you're trying to, it's the difference of, if I'm here on camera going boo-hoo, I'm very sad, versus embodying an emotion and conveying that to people who are viewing, that. Maddie had to be in a, enclosed kind of prison in this sort of Damani outfit, just being completely degraded as a character and having to keep herself in that emotional state. So as actors, I think a lot of times they get stuck in these mental spaces. As if you're watching any sort of interviews on any actors, and at the end, it is a task for them to escape the character and to put it away or not take it home or whatever. And so I think she really had to go into a deeper space to embody what Egwene was going through while she was captured by the Shan-Chen, and that breaking of her spirit while she is trying to keep her spirit alive.
Right.
And again, just as an actress, I thought I was completely blown away by her portrayal of Egwene's journey with the Shan-Chen.
It was terrifying, actually. Her situation was utter, just gross. What did you think, Morgan, of how the Shan-Chen were portrayed and how Egwene capture her being a Damane went?
Well, I thought that the capture from the get-go was done really well because it was her stopping and putting up a shield and trying to protect her friends so that they could get away, which I felt was very true to her character and made sense. I felt like the actual capture, having her be collared, presenting her to Turok, it seemed a little strange because it was why did they wait till then to put the collar on her? Unless they know how to tie off shields or whatever, or can shield her, I suppose. Maybe that's why they did it like that. That just occurred to me. But yeah, the whole thing, I guess, was it done in a really dramatic presentation kind of way. So I thought that it was done pretty well. I was very impressed with them taking like a small scene from the book that happens off screen and making it the focal point. Like they did that a couple of times where they just took something that you heard about almost in passing and were like, okay, we're going to take this scene and make it, emotionally impactful and devastating. And so doing the whole, what we hear about in the book of her just telling Min, yeah, I was going to beat her over the head with the wash pitcher, and, you're lucky you didn't come, like it was between your visiting days, because I was pretty rank, before I convinced myself I'd never heard her with it, and actually playing that out for us and seeing how horrible it was, really emotionally impactful.
Beth, we meet Rena, Egwene v. Rena. Talk to me, I guess, about that dynamic that she had to deal with.
I personally think season 2, episode 6 is in my top 3 favorite episodes of the entire series. Madeline should have been nominated for an Emmy just for that episode alone. The actor who played Rena, I can't remember their name right now off the top of my head, also brilliantly done. Brilliant to be able to be that callous and that disciplined in that headspace. We talk about, how hard it must have been for Madeline to be in that position, but to be the opposite of that, inflicting that kind of, mental, because that was mental conditioning, right? That was literally what you see in abusive relationships. You see the breakdown and the attempt to fight back, and then the suffering and the giving up, and then the thing that made it even worse was, I can't remember the name of the Aes Sedai who was in the bathhouse with Maureen in season 1. Megan, and she was like, I'm going to be going out to the west because there's news of possible trouble brewing, and then she was an Aes Sedai, a full Aes Sedai, and she was broken. It was so well done, and it was so dark. I remember, because I was still doing reaction videos back then on my YouTube channel, and I remember filming a reaction, and when I was editing it the next day, I actually went and put a content warning on the beginning, because there is so much in there that has to do with mental abuse, physical abuse. It was just so powerful. And I think it was a little bit, they took liberties with, because that whole, she was there for 4 months. She was captive with the Shan-Chan for 4 months. And we don't really get that kind of understanding of that in the books, because it's not told from her POV very much in The Great Hunt, but they did such a good job of showing what she probably went through in the books in a very short window. And it was just very dramatic and intense, and I thought it was brilliant.
It's so wild too how they maneuvered us through like Rena explaining, why the Shan-Chan were there in the first place. And it's almost like you're kind of almost on board with what she's saying. She's basically saying, we're here to fight the shadow. We're here to, and we fully believe that the Shan-Chan are the army by which the creator will, the light is going to defeat the shadow. And so, and then they just dagger you when when Egwene does something, and then Rena's like, "Good girl," or the little puppy dog stuff that she does. And it's so vile, and it's so gross. And they kind of lift you up into this weird, kind of like, oh, I kind of see what they're saying space, and then like smash you down with lines like that. And it's just it's an emotional roller coaster. I also sorry, there's so many thoughts in my head, but the way that they had Rena kind of encourage Egwene in her own strength and say things like, I hope the White Tower is telling you how special you are. I hope they know how strong you are. I hope, we're going to give you opportunities to build your own potential to its enormity and whatever. And so it was kind of messing with Egwene, I'm sure, basically saying like, you have this opportunity to grow as a channeler and to become everything that you're supposed to be, except that you're also, less than a subhuman in our eyes.
But then Egwene came back with I will kill you. Her
kill you.
one line
Yeah.
in the whole episode, perfectly
amazing.
delivered. It was
I will
incredible.
kill you.
Yeah, that whole sequence was. You're right that she deserved an Emmy for that. She was so good. And then in the finale, she came out and did the Battle of the Wills, essentially. A call out to I saw somebody in the chat say it's definitely a call out to some things that happen later in the books with Egwene and a certain Forsaken. But I just loved it. And like mechanics of the Adam aside, right? Because like, how does that even work?
Right.
I didn't want to think about it because it was so amazing, and the fact that they changed Egwene, because we're talking about books versus show, they changed Egwene in that scene, and she ended up killing Rena, where she might have right in the books if Nynaeve hadn't interfered, but Nynaeve wasn't there, and so she got the chance and she took it, and so that was a statement of how strong and brutal she was capable of being, which I thought was awesome. I hollered during that scene. It was so fun to watch.
So this is a change. So we saw Egwene first stab Aemon Valda, like prison stab him, like through the collarbone, like shanked.
For real.
Then she kills Rena with more or less because Rena deserved it, rather than it was life or death. Morgan, do you like this change in Egwene? Egwene being maybe a vindictive killer?
I mean, yeah, I thought that it was really good. The way that it's set up in the book is great for further plot. Also, just that it's potentially much more dangerous for the Empire to have it be very aware that that Sildam can channel, and so leaving them like that is potentially a better long term than killing her. But the way that it was left for them on the top of the tower like that, I felt like it was just the right thing for her to do, to show that she's different now, and that that's okay, like for her to be in that position. Rena had no obligation of mercy for her. It was certainly not something that Rena would have showed her if the situation were reversed, and someone can choose to be merciful to someone who would not return the favor, but they aren't obligated to do so. And in that situation, I just sort of felt like it was probably the best for her to show how far she's come, how she's changed, and how she's just not going to be the same after.
Yeah. I'm a lot like you, Critter, in that I like, if I were getting positive reinforcements from Rena, I would be a good Damane. I would want to please. I'm a people I don't like conflict. I don't like. I would be a good Damane. I would. It sucks to say.
I say I would be a good Damane because I would not be a good Damane.
Well, you said that like you're an overachiever and you like to do things well.
Tower.
I don't think being a teacher's pet necessarily translate to being a good Damane. Because like I'm a teacher's pet. I'm a teacher's pet, and I would be a shit Damane.
See, I'm a teacher's pet, and I'd be a good Damane. They'd pet my head, and I would purr.
I would maybe take advantage, like while like the way that Rena was trying to like stroke Egwene's ego and be like, look at your power. I'd be like, yeah, let me show you my power, right? Let's develop this skill while all I have to do is sit here and channel at a tree or channel into the air to make a big explosion. Sure, I'll learn all I can from you, but that's just so I can kill you later. bad
Yeah.
money. That would
You,
be a
you
bad
get me
money.
some of my mom's honey cakes, I'll show you just how much I can blow shit up. I can make rocks fly. Yeah. So it ends. So we're fast forwarding, I guess. It ends at Falma, where they all kind of collectively take down Ishamael. Egwene is providing a shield, and Ishamael's like, this normally works. Let me try it again. This isn't working. Let me keep trying to get. I can go around. No, I can't go around. I'll just. But Egwene does help save the day. They all gather on top as the dragon is the Moraine created AI dragon. It wasn't. It came up, and that's how it ends with all of them looking on the tower like Marvel superheroes, look badass. They all look good. They all kind of have blood on them and stuff. Battle. That's kind of how season 2 ends in my head, unless I'm missing stuff. I don't know. What did I miss? Anything?
So, were they trying to say that Egwene is just that powerful, or was Ishamael just stalling for time?
I have to believe that Ishamael was not. Like, if he wanted to, he would have destroyed that shield. I mean, it's just what we saw at the Forsaken in season 3 was such a power chasm between like what we viewed as strong channelers in season 2 to what they could do in season 3. And so I think they were trying to portray Egwene as stronger than she was maybe at the beginning of season 2 for sure. Even her shield was kind of blotchy and whatever, but I also think that Ishamael was kind of like dart, fireball, fireball.
Yeah, just wanting Rand to stab him, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, that is the only explanation for why Rand could just like walk through and slowly stab him, right? Because Ishamael is the most powerful Forsaken according to everyone, and he, like, we saw Swan shield Rand with like no effort whatsoever. You would think that a Forsaken would be high enough above Swan to be able to shield Egwene even after some training, even easier. So like, there's a lot of things about. But I do think that the show was trying to somewhat level the power differential between women and men. So that might have been like part of that, where they're like, no, they're not like astronomically more powerful, right? Because Lanfear's apparently allegedly more powerful than some of the men. We learned that in season 3. So I don't know. That's one possibility, that the power levels weren't as crazy as they were in the books, but it still seemed like he was giving up just because he wasn't getting through the shield yet, because Rand stabbed him easily and very slowly.
Very slowly, and holding his own blade as he did it.
So I was listening while I was gone for a little bit while you guys were talking. It seemed like you guys were all pretty cool with the Egwene revenge killing.
Yeah, but I also thought there was a point where you see that because they're both each other's Suldam and Damane. What I gleaned out of that was that as Egwene was basically killing Rhaena, she was also feeling kind of the feedback of that, and I feel like it was conveying like she was willing to go through that entire process, even unto death, to get rid of Rhaena. And I feel like what Critter said earlier, like it kind of was a test of wills. Like Egwene was like, I know what I'm feeling through this contraption, and I know that you are about to die, and I'm willing to ride this through, and hopefully I am strong enough and have a strong enough will to come out, on top on the other side of it, which she did.
It was a sick scene. It was so sick. Where she's like, "If I die, you die." She's like, "I know."
Would Book Egwene have done that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Barring the interference of Nynaeve, I think if Nynaeve had not been there, honestly, there's a strong possibility that she would have just bashed her face in.
Okay. Okay, I remember watching that thinking, that's not my Eggie.
I thought that's my Eggie. It's funny. Different people have different opinions. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that was a perfect example of, if a person go left instead of right, so it's sort of like this turning of the wheel, Nynaeve wasn't there to stop her, and so this was the logical conclusion of what would have happened if Nynaeve hadn't been there.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I love the scene. I love that it was a battle of wills, and she was like, "I'm just stronger than you." If we're talking about will, I'm from the Two Rivers. We can teach rocks patience. So, let's jump to season 3. And to me, when I think of season 3 with Egwene, I think of two things. I think of the Aiel and I think of Lanfear. I want to talk about Lanfear first. Lanfear is a difference in the books in that in the books, Lanfear doesn't even know really about Egwene, or if she does, it's so insignificant. I think she calls her a chit, she slurs her. But she's not a threat to Lanfear. Lanfear's looking for Luz, not for Rand. Egwene likes Rand. Lanfear likes Luz, baby. But in this, Lanfear is targeting Egwene and is hitting her hard in her dreams. So Morgan, let's talk about Lanfear's, vendetta against our girl Egwene, etc. What do you think?
I think that it was a logical choice, considering when Rand finds out who she is, he stops messing around with her, and then coincidentally not long after that, he and Egwene are once again in the same space, and yeah, they haven't really talked about it, but once again, they're, sleeping together, and so she's jealous and shitty, and so, yeah, of course she'd be screwing around with her in her dreams, especially because Egwene keeps accessing Teleron Riyadh without meaning to, and without understanding what she's doing, so I felt like, in this version of the world where Egwene is sleeping with Rand and Rand is telling Lanfear no, that makes sense. Did I like it? Well, no, not from the sense of, like catty, jealous ex-girlfriend, but did I find it logical? Yes.
Critter, when I am of the opinion that if you are able to enter someone's dreams without invitation, buyer beware. You can't unsee things, and people cannot control what they're dreaming. This is a dangerous realm for Egwene to even go into. It's a good thing Lanfear wasn't shaped like a mermaid with... I mean, who knows what dreams happen? So is it reasonable for her to be pissed at Rand for having dream sex with someone she has a beef with in her own dream?
I think this is a very complicated issue because was she wrong to be in his dreams? 1,000%. She shouldn't have visited any of their dreams, except for obviously Moraine, who gave her consent. Kind of, it was based on need, right? She had to go find Swan and give her the message. But everybody else, it was a complete violation of privacy. That being said, it's as if you, and I'm not saying I would ever do this, but if it's as if you get onto your partner's phone to look up, what time your DoorDash restaurant closes, right? And they get a text from someone and you see that they're cheating on you, right? You could still be mad at them for that, even if you're not supposed to be on their phone, even if they didn't give you permission to log into their phone necessarily. If you find out that they're cheating on you while you're on their phone covertly, you can still be pissed, even if you were wrong in that. So again, complicated, but also the fact that it was actually Lanfear and it wasn't just dream Lanfear, right? If she caught him like having a fantasy about who knows, like, some Aiel woman, then like
Betty White.
It could be a little different.
Right?
Yeah, Betty White.
Betty
Right.
White.
It could be like a wow, that's weird, but I guess he can't really control his dreams. But no, this was like a real thing that he was intentionally doing with Lanfear. So 100% she was in the right to be mad, not in the right to be in his dreams.
Yeah,
Okay.
Rand had Tinder pulled up on his phone. Like, he can't get mad about that.
But it was Dream Tinder. I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it was unclear if Rand was aware that he was, like, if Rand was dreaming and Lanfear knew, like, she herself was in Rand's dream, or if he, I think I'm saying this right, if, Egwene knew that she was in Rand's dream, Lanfear knew that she was in
Egwene was there.
yeah, and did Rand know that Rand was in Rand's dream, I guess is the question. So if he was just dreaming, that's one thing. If he knew he was in the dream and Lanfear was in the dream and that's where they've been meeting to hook up, that is an entirely different situation.
He knew.
I think that's unclear.
Yeah, he
They had
knew
a conversation. They
Yeah,
had
he's
like a
like, you
whole
gotta
conversation.
stop bringing me here. You know,
Yeah.
You gotta stop
he's
bringing me
perfectly
here.
aware
Sure,
that
well,
it's not like
Yeah. God damn, the Motel 6 again.
No, to me, it's like you're naked in front of like your college professor class, like giving your dissertation. You're like, "Oh, I'm naked," and then Egwene's like, "Oh, you like being naked in front of all these people? That's gross." And you're like, "Whoa, no, I don't. This is a bad dream. I don't like it." I don't know.
But she did clarify with him after the fact. They had a whole
Yeah.
conversation. Did you know who she was?
Yes.
And she found out that indeed he was being a POS.
He's like, "Yeah, but you broke up with me, so you went to Mazatlan." I was. Anyways.
We were on a break.
We were on a
It's so interesting how even though they're like downplaying it in the later seasons, like the love and relationship between Egwene and Rand are instrumental through so many plot points of this whole series. Like
One thing
the
we
end.
forget too, that like Egwene didn't know that was Lanfear until the wise ones were like, "You're being hunted by the Shadow Soul, by the way." So that was another factor too, that Rand was in a dream cheating on her with somebody who knew she was in the dream. But it wasn't until later that she realized it was a Forsaken, which, made it even worse.
Mm-hmm.
She levels up very quickly in Dream. She's suddenly like, "Hey, you guys want to see something? Come with me. I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm so good suddenly that we're gonna do this." So yeah,
I know, not even a montage, Dan. She just got there.
Yeah, there was no training montage. There was no girls just wanna have
montage.
fun. No nothing.
She said, "Look, I can make a potato."
She's like, "I'm pretty."
Sorry, I'm so sorry. The baby dragon is having a really hard night, and I wasn't there to put him down, and I have a feeling that he's missing the booby, and I'm the only one with the booby, so
You're the booby, yeah.
Okay, I'm so
Critter.
sorry. This was
Yeah.
so much fun.
Joining us.
Way
I'm
more
so
important.
glad
No,
you're here.
thank you so much.
Good
Real
to see you
quickly-
again, Critter.
Thank you.
Yeah,
What's
we'll
up?
just now you're obligated to come back.
Yeah,
My
because
contract
okay.
says 90
I agree.
minutes.
So, yeah.
I'll be back. Thank
Go,
you so much,
good luck.
everyone. This was
Bye.
fun. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, I miss her.
All right, well, if you guys please support Critter.
Yeah. Give her a sub if you haven't. I'd love for her to get a bump.
Yeah, let's give the LeafCast bump.
A bump, like some 70s junkie. Hey, you got a bump?
God.
All right, let's talk Aiel. The Aiel to me was very, very rushed for Egwene.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, she did level up big time in Dreamwalking. She's like, "Oh yeah, now I'm kind of a pro. I'm semi-pro. I'm pretty good." She talked to. We saw some of the Aiel, and she started dressing like them and stuff. Started hanging with them, eating their food. Let's talk her time with the IEL. What did you think about the shows? How the show did it, Morgan?
I mean, I feel like they did as well as they could with the amount of time that they were allotted. You know, they had to do the best they could. Everybody learned too fast. Like, that was just, you know, at least in the books, even in the books, everybody learns too fast, but they do a lot of their learning off screen. And so it's like, seems extra accelerated in the show since you're taking them learning too fast in the books and, you know, even going faster, but there's nothing to be done about that. I don't feel like you can really blame the show itself for that. You can blame Amazon for not giving them enough episodes, but also learning is, you know, watching people learn stuff is only interesting to a certain point. You want them to get there. You want them to get there. So
No, it's a good point because you can't have them just flail and flail. You do need resolution to that.
Yeah, I wish they had have. I know we've talked about this before, but I wish they had have maybe included a couple more moments. And again, just like Morgan said, like there just was not enough time. But I wish there had been a couple more moments to clarify some of the mechanics of Teleranriod. You know, like definitely like the dangers, you know, the nightmares, Egwene kind of going in against the Wise One's direction not to go in. I think that could have been illuminated a little bit better. I feel like the payoff on that was just kind of like, by the way, I was lying to you, you know,
Yeah.
and it was like, oh, okay, well, I guess it doesn't matter. But you know, in the books, like to the Aiel, lying was like, I mean, really bad. So it was just some of those little missed moments with Egwene. It was kind of like, oh, okay, now she can pull people into the dream. Now she can do all these like amazing things. And I agree, it was like super, super accelerated. And we just had to kind of, as viewers, I guess, catch up.
Well, I mean, was there any chance of 8 episodes a season succeeding with this story? Like, just structurally, would 8 episodes ever work?
No.
No, it's a setup.
I don't think it would either. You have to have at least 10 or 12. I would think hopefully 12.
Yeah, with a story like this, especially, there's just too much to cover, you know, for 8 episodes to fully express it.
Yeah, there's no time to reiterate a point or call back like a law or a rule of anything. Like they would bring a GE toe, and then then it's gone, and then they bring this up, and then it's gone. If like one of the things that bothered me as a book reader when you'd wait for the next book and then you start reading it is all the reminders, the explanation of the lore, and I appreciated it now as it's my second time reading through, because I understand you gotta hammer that shit home. And the repetition is helpful. Having such complicated concepts just kind of be dumped and then moved on, it was rough at times. And IEO, I think, is the biggest example of it. They're such a complicated culture. We get so much of their past, but we don't get to see how powerful they are as a peoples, as warriors. We don't even see that.
It looked like there was maybe 24 of them.
Yeah, we don't get we don't get to see the wise ones channeling and stuff it, and all these things that we don't I don't even know if non-book readers know that wise ones can channel from the show.
Right.
So, you just imagine, the IEL they do the dream stuff, but yeah. But all in all, though, Egwene's character, as I'm listening and thinking about this, she seems to have the most plot points from the books that are for her character. They hit a lot of her main beats, getting kidnapped, going to Aiel Waste, all of these things. Of all the characters, I'm almost gonna say that she's the most faithful.
Well, let's talk about this.
That?
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just wondering how do you guys feel about that in terms of like faithfulness to the storyline and.
I mean, I think
motivation
they
of
stayed
character.
faithful to the storyline for all of the characters, with the exception of Matt. And they had to do with Matt what they did with Matt. I mean, Perrin goes back to the Two Rivers. Perrin meets Fael. Perrin, Rand does all of the Rand things. I mean, if they changed Rand's story up instead of going to Falm originally, right? Or kind of, sort of. Instead of going after the Horn, he wasn't there. Perrin was there instead of him. Just Perrin. I think the adaptation, I think they focused a lot on Egwene because I think that Egwene, they were setting Egwene up for her rise to power. And they had to do that in the early seasons to show that she would be capable for going toe to toe with Elida in the future episodes if the show had canceled.
Man, imagine those scenes, huh?
Yeah.
Oh my god! I know, Show Ray and Madeline going to that would have been amazing. But I think that I mean, if you're gonna, besides Matt, take Matt out, right? Because Matt, I don't feel like they ever were able to really fully overcome what happened with Barney not coming back for those last 2 episodes or 3 episodes of season 1. I think the person that was wronged the most is Nynaeve.
Yes.
Yep.
And I think that Egwene is such a captivating character, and she probably polled well with test audiences, and that's probably why we saw so much of her, because they needed like a Moiraine 2.0, right? And it definitely wasn't going to be Nynaeve.
Nynaeve's like, they're like, hey, Nynaeve, can you hand me that tea? And she's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know.
All right. So I was thinking also, in the kind of like manosphere, fucking anti-woke like commentary that has like riddled Wheel of Time.
America.
Yeah.
The ending for season 1 was one of the main points they battered on, talking about how in modern media men don't get to be heroes, men don't get to be men, and all this kind of like bullshit. And they really point out to this notion that like Rand's main motivation when facing off with Ishii at the end of season 1, he was thinking about Egwene. And her independence and her strength. And to that point, I think that makes Rand even fucking cooler. I think that makes Rand stronger. And I think redefining like strength through masculinity, I think is an important gift to the world. We're not, we're not all fucking Cary Grant. We're complicated beings with feelings. And as a man, if I were to like sacrifice for a woman, that does not mean that I'm not. I feel like that's a strength. Anyway, so I'm rambling now, but
I love that. No, it's a good point, and I love that.
Yeah, I think it's just in the world we are living in 2025, the year of our dragon. It is this thing where it's a strange concept, but to grasp onto, what it means to be a man or what it means to be a woman, whatever. It's like, it's when you can step back and allow women and marginalized people and whatever to excel and to rise without it inflicting some sort of insecurity upon yourself or scaring you or terrifying you, but to be able to genuinely celebrate that rise and to see the potential, and to see not only the potential in those groups of people, but what it can do for the world and what it can do for you and what it can do for your society and everything. Like, one of the big things about living in America is just that I truly wish we had like a super diverse government where ideas were coming in from all angles and all communities and things like that. I mean, it almost sounds, fantastical, but because so much of our, nation holds on so tightly to their insecurity of like, oh my God, what if women got in power? Then
We're
You
being
know,
replaced.
Yeah,
Well,
so
but
I think that
piggy-
I think that
oh,
the
go ahead.
show. I'm sorry. I think that the show was a wonderful example of what it looks like when you have a world that is kind of like that. You have these women in power, these women who are growing in their power, this immensely diverse cast of people and characters and stuff, and it all blends together to create this amazing storyline.
I agree with you, and I want to piggyback in that the book itself was a challenge to gerontology, right? That age equals wisdom equals power. We had all of our heroes were young 20s, which historically Alexander the Great was very young. Our founding fathers, a lot of them were very young. But now
Cleopatra.
we don't have very many leaders that are under 60 now. But in the books, the women were in charge, but it wasn't a young woman who is so the age, I think, it was a major thing with Robert Jordan, in that he had Matt, who I guess was the oldest one, if you take memories, but leading great generals, for example, and such. I guess you had Gareth Bryan, who through a soldier. If you're a soldier, the more you soldier, but a lot of our leaders, including Egwene, including Rand, including Matt, were all 20, 21, 22.
Yeah, and Elaine. Yeah, and that was a fun kind of like part of how Robert Jordan wrote it and the challenges that presented, because they had to gain, like, Egwene becomes the false Amerlin. Is she being gamed? Does she earn that? Is she just a tool? She had to go through all of those like dynamics in her head and suss all that out and still overcome it. I loved all of that stuff. Yeah.
Right. And that leads me exactly. So we had Egwene's accepted test. And so Morgan, I'm going to ask you to help me. Was her accepted test as it reads in the book? We had her stilling Rand, or challenging Rand, a mad dragon Rand. We had her. Go ahead. So please.
No, because in the books, she's, her way back for what was, they're married, they have a baby, and she leaves him behind while he's dealing with a horrible headache that's presumably to do with, his channeling. The way back for what is he's, buried under rubble in a palace in Camelin, and there are murder out in the streets, which I always thought was really stupid, because I felt like the way back for what is for her would have been something to do with the Shanshan. And then the way back for what will be is, being all fucked up because she has the Terangriel in the room with her, and so they're having issues with even getting her back, and she's the Amerlin seat, and they've got Rand and they're going to gentle him, and she's trying to rescue him. And so I felt like what they did instead of what RJ did, which was just to make it Rand-centric in a way where it was all about Egwene's sense of responsibility for Rand and Egwene's feeling of failure toward Rand, of not being able to save him, of having to abandon him, of Rand. What we got to see, while admittedly Rand-centric, was a glimpse of her seeing, a very dark potential future with Rand, and yet doing what needs to be done if Rand goes this way, which I felt was much more realistic and excellent, because it showed that, how traumatic, first of all, how pragmatic for her to be in that position, and then later on when Rand asks her about the test, and he's like, I was there, and she's like, it wasn't you, because she knows that, potential, it's a potential that he could go that way, but it's not him, not the Rand of this day and age.
Beth, what did you think of the accepted test on screen?
I mean, I think it was fine. I agree with most of what Morgan was saying. I think in the way that RJ wrote it, you know, I think I remember Egwene saying, "Am I doomed to fail him over and over again? Is this like what my lot in life is, basically? Like I'm gonna fail him every time."
You're right. Right. And she pulls out and she's like, "Is that all I fucking do?
Yeah.
Is that all I fucking do?"
And I think what they did with the show is kind of show in the arches a lot of what she ends up seeing for herself, like as herself in the dream. Like as she becomes a dreamer and she's, you know, starting to develop these abilities. I think they kind of borrowed the Nynaeve that ends up being developed because of her ability as a dreamer, and they inserted that in the futures of the in the arches. I think the thing that makes it so compelling in the books for me is it at the end of the day, in a way, it comes back to Egwene and Rand. He walks into the tower after she's newly appointed as the Amerlin, right? After the rift has been resolved, the light has been taken away by the Shan-Chan, and Rand just walks in. And he's like, "Hi, Egwene."
Hey.
You know, basically. And,
Hey, girl.
you know, and exactly, "Hey, girl." And, you know, they have like this back and forth, and he infuriates her just as much as he did when they were in the Two Rivers, in a different way, mind you. But they both mature and they both become who they're destined to be, what their destiny is, what the pattern has woven them to be for the purpose of the pattern. And so I love that it always comes back to they were two kids from a village and they grow into so much more, you know?
Right. They were childhood sweethearts, right? I mean, think of it like, yeah, they crushed on each other. They held hands, like
Did they even
they
kiss
snuck
in the
around. No,
No.
they totally drank apple brandy and got to second base.
I mean, I think the thing that's the most important thing to remember, though, is that, you know, they would have spent their lives together in the Two Rivers if Moiraine and Lan hadn't showed up. I mean, they probably would have died on Winter Night, but they would have if it was not the time for Rand to be, you know, Luce Theron Telemann reincarnated. They would have spent their lives together in the Two Rivers. They would have gotten married. They would have. Egwene might have bucked at it, maybe with becoming Nynaeve's apprentice, maybe, but I think she still would have married Rand. You know, and it's just it's such a telling story of when you realize that the world is bigger than your little bubble. You become the small fish in a little pond. Or, you know, you go from the big fish in a little pond to a small fish in a really big ocean. You know, that's exactly what happened to both of them. And they both survived all of the other prey that were hunting them down. They survived. To proverbial adulthood.
I like thinking that Rand would have followed Egwene to if she became the hey, I just got a job offer. They need a wisdom at Watch Hill. And Rand would have been like, "Fuck yeah, let's go. I'll buy a little plot. I'll get rid of all those stones. I'll bring Bella. I'll bring... so we'll get rid of all the stones. I'll bring...
Again?
Bella!" Thank you, Rand.
Got your back.
Ryan, I was listening to The Cure this weekend, and there was a song where Robert Smith, I swear, does a Bella. He just keeps the note going for so long. I was like, oh shit, he's pulling a Bella. Look at him go. All right. Sorry.
Yeah. Anytime anyone goes to the opera now, they think of Bella.
They think about
great.
it, like,
It's great.
Anything else about show Egwene versus book Egwene that we wanted to bring up? I kind of bounced all over like a crazy person.
I did not like Egwene in the books. Just as a character, I've said this before. I didn't resonate with her. Maybe
That's a good thing Critter's gone.
Yes, I know. Wait till she's gone. But as
No,
far
you
as
see, that's when he looks around. He's all right.
I didn't really like her that much in the books.
hey, guess what?
Hey, I didn't really like her.
But show Egwene, something about the way maybe it was just that I was visually seeing her move around and interact, and maybe that was the actual difference for me instead of having to imagine her. Watching show Egwene at the end of season 3, I just was kind of like, I really, really like Egwene Alver. Like, I absolutely love her storyline. I don't know why it didn't resonate when I was reading the books. I don't know if it was just the period of time of life that I was in when I read the books or whatever. But watching it in the show, I just really, really latched onto that character. So that was a big difference for me, is kind of like going back to the books after having seen the show and kind of rereading some of Egwene and then allowing that to influence book Egwene for me.
I like that. And in fact, Glenn here says it was the opposite. He loves book Egwene, but show Egwene drives him nuts.
Sorry, Glenn.
I'm probably more on your team, Deathwayne, in that I think that I felt that Egwene was bossy. Like, see, I don't know if I'm just being misogynistic if I'm saying bossy. You know, like, but she was like, she seemed to be a know-it-all who was like, yeah, Rand al'Thor, you don't know shit. And I was like, he's the dragon. You know, we should probably trust this guy. And you're an impediment to progress. Don't be so conservative, would you? I don't know.
I really don't know. Yeah, I don't have a clear answer on why Book Egwene did not resonate with me at all. I just found her to be bratty and annoying, and I think I just was in the wrong headspace for that character. But Egwene, again, like the show, brought not a different Egwene, really. You know, this whole episode has been about how her character in the show was most like her character in the book. So I think just maybe seeing her walk around in human form, you know, as an actor and on the screen and watching it play out with my eyeballs might have been the difference, or maybe just the period of life that I'm in right now.
Well, let's piggyback on that. Beth, did you prefer show Egwene or book Egwene?
I think I liked them both equally. Egwene is one of my favorite characters in the series, and I didn't love season 1 Egwene, but I loved season 2 Egwene. I loved her so much. Her so much. Yeah. There was a lot about season 3 Egwene I wasn't a fan of. Not gonna lie. I hated how she treated Swan.
Me too.
It really rubbed me the wrong way.
Fuck you and your organization.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I get why she went that way, but I was like, Book Egwene would never do that. You know, that's like, and it was one of those things I had a really hard time, as I've said many times that as we've talked about the show over the years. I've had to always go through the turning off book brain when I'm watching the show and just appreciating the show on its own merits. There are some things though that was just really hard for me to do that, and Egwene acting out against the Emerald seat was one of those moments for me.
That was like Walmart employees getting on the mic and quitting publicly.
Yes, exactly. It was, and I really. But But I really like.
Fuck you. Fuck you. You're
Yeah.
cool. Fuck you, I'm out.
I mean, I love Maddie as Egwene, and so I think that's why I really enjoyed show Egwene, because I thought that Madeline Madden just did such a great job portraying her.
What do you think, Morgan? Which did you prefer?
So, Book Egwene is also one of my favorite characters, but she is quite immature in the beginning, which is why I feel like she was served very well with the aging up. I feel like she does real well once she gets a job. I always kind of liken her to... No. I liken Egwene to a Siberian husky. She's really awesome, but if you don't give her a job, she's gonna annoy the shit out of everyone.
God.
Or a
get
border
into
collie!
everything.
As I'm
Really?
staring at my border collie.
And
Yeah,
she
it's
has like
constantly-
one eye that's blue. One eye
Yeah,
that's brown.
no, seriously, no. Like, you've got the Siberian Husky, really, really awesome, but if you don't keep that motherfucker busy, it's going to get into everything, it's going to annoy the shit out of everyone, and it's going to potentially be destructive, and it's
I
just
love
kind of
that
like
analogy so much. Oh
I
my god,
love
that's
it.
so great.
that is Egwene.
Egwene is a
somebody who
hyperactive puppy that
she
just needs a
strikes
job.
me. Yeah, she strikes me. She has always read to me as very neurodivergent. And one of the things, though, that I like
Oh.
about her, and the one thing about the show, and I realized that they had to do this because they were doing the whole, mystery driving the first season. Who is the dragon? And so, what got everybody out of the village had to be the same thing. But his exploration, RJ's exploration of her and why she's different from the boys in the books is the fact that she chooses to leave. And I always feel like he kind of identifies with her character more than the others in the book, especially the first book when he's writing it, even though you never get inside her head, is because RJ was a soldier that volunteered.
Right.
And so he's exploring even through Rand's eyes, the eyes of basically somebody who was drafted. People, RJ
Wow.
served with a ton of draftees, but he was a volunteer. And so
Wow.
you have this kind of like very difference. And you even get it from Rand. There must be a difference in how you perceive adventure based upon whether it was thrust upon you or whether you choose it. And so I feel like that's a very important thing for her character that they don't have in the show. But she gets to a point in the books where she's ready to go home as well. Like after when they're in the steading and they're hiding, and she asks Perrin, "Hey, will you dance with me at Sunday if we're home by then?" Where she's basically like, "I'm over this shit." I really like Egwene. But like most of the characters in the books annoy the shit out of me because he makes them stupid because they're young. So it's just sort of like he's like, these people are stupid inherently because they're young, so they're going to make stupid choices and they're going to annoy the fuck out of you, and that's just part of it. That's what happens when you have, and most of them, a lot of the dumb choices that they make specifically are kind of because they're young, where you're like, wow, if you were 10 years older, you wouldn't have done that.
Right.
And so.
God damn it, Morgan.
What?
Brilliant.
I love this so much.
No, I think that's a great take.
I never read Egwene as being neurospicy. I read Perrin as being such, but not Egwene. But no,
No, I read her as autistic as fuck. But that's
Wow.
just
That's an interesting take because I've never thought of her that way.
Never, yeah.
It's gonna. Now the next time I do a reread or a re-listen, I'm gonna have a different.
Well, yeah, a lot of people are sort of like, people who see her as like, I was on the panel at WatCon of, label people, are you, chaotic good, or you lawful good? And when we did Egwene, literally no one could agree. We had people who were like, she was lawful good. You had people who said she was lawful evil. You had people who were all over the place. Like, she was the one character that nobody
chaotic neutral.
Well, I said she was like, true neutral, but it's sort of like one of the reasons the way that RJ writes her character is because she is destined to be the Amerlin Seton of all Ajas and none. He specifically writes her as a very complex individual that has characteristics of all of the Ajas. And that's kind of how she is. She's all over the place. But like a lot of people who read, like, where they're like, she's power hungry or not, and I'm like, no, she just has real like black and white neurodivergent thinking, or she thinks of herself at the point of view of the Amerlin seat, and I'm like, yeah, that's because she knows that she's totally unqualified for this damn job, and she's like, okay, so I have to think of myself, if I think of myself as the Amerlin seat and frame it in this way, then I'll know how to approach this job.
Literally fake it till I make it.
Yeah, exactly, and so I just
and that's a total strategy that like some people use. In social situations, they try and embody someone they.
Oh my god! Now I have another reason to re-listen to the book.
There's at least like 20 people in the world who think, "What would Ryan do?" Like every day, and then base their decisions upon that.
I think that often.
But that's actually such a good take, though, Morgan, because when you think about when she was brought back into the White Tower as a novice, right? And all of the sitters and members of the different Ajas would like call her and they would ask her questions like, what would you, hypothetically speaking? And she literally was able to interject herself and almost like a chameleon, right? To be able to adapt into each circumstance and give like a white Aja sitter a perfectly logical explanation. Giving like the brown Aja, I can't remember her name, when she was like, I've been snubbed, and Egwene's like, ask about the 13th repository. And then she finds out that it's a real thing, and she calls Egwene back, and she's like, what do I do now? And Egwene's like, do this.
A lot of people, like, will disagree. Like, RJ was like, oh, she would have chosen green, and I'm like, okay, you say that, but like, I had a whole conversation, I think it was when they finished Lord of Chaos on the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast, and it was me and Jess from the Amerlin Study and Brett from the Wheel Weaves podcast, and he feels like she would have chosen red Aja, and I feel like she's a white, and it's just sort of like, so people, everybody feels very differently, and I think it's partly because he's like, I'm going to give her characteristics of all of the Aja. She
never really truly becomes any of them.
Exactly.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Well, and it's interesting too, because I think that approaching her position as the Amerlin seat, like, she really was, she spent a lot of time with the Aiel, and she incorporated that into, her approach to the Amerlin. Like you said, she's kind of like taking as many tools as she can, because she really does not know what she's doing. And even with Swan's guidance, she was just kind of like, okay, I've got this toolbox of Aiel stuff. Okay, I've got this, this over here. I understand what the Ajas are all about. Let me try to pull from that. And it's an amazing viewpoint to look at.
Yeah, and speaking, as someone on the spectrum, as you try to figure out, okay, well, how do I be a person? Let me watch these people and see how they're doing it. Okay, well, I'll fake it. So let me put on these Aiel clothes and, go through the motions here. Let me go to the White Tower. I'll go through the motions here, and like, but yeah, and rise to the occasion. And it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I really see her as just, super neurodivergent, and I think that she's a great character. And yeah, she's kind of obnoxious until about book 6, and that's that's okay. And then she's finally like, "Hey, I have toe. I've been lying to you. I've been doing all this stuff. Oh, so beat the hell out of me, and then I gotta go to work." And it's like, okay.
Yeah, and speaking of which, I think one of the biggest shames of losing this series is that we do not get to see Egwene get spanked.
Not once.
Not once.
Not a single time.
No,
not one slipper.
Well, I lied about being an Aes Sedai too, which I felt like was perfect. I kind of like that, because she was sort of like, well, I lied about that too, and I was just sort of like, I dig that energy right there. It's sort of like,
yeah, I agree.
Well,
right,
here's let's throw another. Go, Ryan.
Hell
real
yeah.
quick. Let's Leanne that like button.
I like how they did
my
that.
Lord, have
They're like-
mercy!
They're like, we probably won't have a chance for her to reinvent herself as a green, so we'll just give this moment for we're sort of like, here's a green wrapped in a blue. Bam, bam, bam.
Wappa.
Right.
Wappa. My cause! My cause! My cause! yeah. So thank you for joining us, Morgan.
Mhm.
Morgan,
Yeah.
thank you for joining us.
Oh,
Are
yeah.
you? Do you? So I know your podcast has been a bit more sporadic based on your schedule. Do you have anything in the books? Anything cooking? Anything
No, not
in
right
the oven?
now. I'm
All right.
just doing schoolwork and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I said, I hope to get back to it eventually, but it's sort of like my hyper focus is I struggle with time management to really kind of split it. So, I'm just that was one of the reasons why I was sad that the show got canceled, because it's easier to do content on the show because it's just like not nearly as labor intensive. My podcast is it takes so much brain power that it's just
It takes brain power to listen to that shit, Morgan.
No, it's a doctoral. It's like a running doctorate dissertation on the Wheel of Time. It's great.
It really isn't. I do 2 drafts and I'm very lazy and sloppy about it, but it's
You
still
are
a lot
great.
of work.
Morgan, you are extraordinary, and if you weren't, we would not hang out with you. Okay, so stop.
I don't know, you guys.
So true.
Stop
I
it.
think your standards are probably pretty low, but
What?
I'm not speaking to you guys. See, this is what I get. I always say the wrong thing.
You're getting my
full
back.
display.
Present company excluded.
All right, I choose to forgive you, Morgan.
See, this is what I
Always.
get.
Love you, Morgan.
Yes. Here I am saying the wrong thing. Forget.
Guys, Beth is a Twitch partner. Go get a Twitch account and hang out with her.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start playing Date Everything this week. I'm so excited.
Yes.
I am so excited.
You ever think of dating a puppet?
If the puppet wasn't married, yes, happily to a lovely woman.
Yeah. Well, are you gonna tackle Elden Ring at some point?
Maybe. I mean, I would just die over and over and over again at the first boss.
Lots of fun of it.
Yep.
You'll die 20 times before you even get to the first boss.
No, yeah.
True,
then,
the tutorial.
everyone. Yeah, it's called Schadenfreude.
I remember I played that tutorial, and I was like, I beat the first boss in Elden Ring, and then I realized that I just beat the end of the tutorial.
Yeah.
I was so proud of myself.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man.
It's
That
all.
game is crazy. My character is currently, and has been for like 6 months, just stuck in a cave. I don't even know how to get out of that cave.
Are you on PlayStation?
I'm not. No, I'm an Xbox boy.
All right, bye.
I know. Sorry.
Right. All right.
You could be like me and have all of the platforms.
I could. Well,
You gotta
PC
be-
as well. So yeah.
PC, Xbox, PlayStation, and a Switch.
Yes.
What?
Thank you
All
all,
right.
for
Love you
joining
guys.
us. You guys, happy Sunday.
Yeah, join us Tuesday for the
Wednesday.
LeafCast. Wednesday. Join us Wednesday for the LeafCast First Time Reader Show as we take on the last book. Thank you for joining us as always. And run for your lives. This is The Way of the Leaf.